What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. I do actually have something special for you here today. I actually was tapped to do a board game review, a kind of Kickstarter preview for a friend of mine, Ahmad, who has made a game called Usolli. Now, Usolli is a small card game designed by Australian local Ahmad Saludin. And I was lucky to get an opportunity to play this game before it's released on Kickstarter, which should be today, in the next couple of hours, if not live already. And the theme of this game is the 5 ritual prayers for Salah, which you as the player is doing your best to try and complete. Now, the core gameplay loop is very simple. You have a meeple that moves about a grid of cards based on what symbol is present. And the cards that it lands on, you pick up, which works as a form of drafting. The color of the cards corresponds to the 5 different prayers or objectives that you're trying to complete for points. Certain cards, when picked up by players, will move the time of day tracker along, making you potentially late to prayer. And when a player does complete a prayer, the day tracker also moves along, potentially leaving the other players behind. This simple mechanic elegantly communicates the struggle of trying to fit commitments into our busy lives. To successfully complete a prayer, you must discard cards from your hand equal to each prayer's requirement. For example, the prayer before dawn only requires 2 cards discarded, but they both must be blue, and include at least 1 card with a tap icon, as the cleansing ritual of wudu is its requirement for each of the prayer. You may discard additional cards to potentially meet these requirements, such as a tap symbol of another color, or cards with a camel symbol indicating a traveler, to score additional points. As you move further into the day, the prayers require more cards discarded. We give you more time on the day tracker to do so. To win the game, you must have the most points when the day ends, and the path to victory requires you to complete as many prayers as possible, with bonus points for being in order and on time. The day flies by much quicker than you would expect, and efficiently picking up the right cards, even when constrained by the movement options and other play interference, is key. There is event cards that can help you, and especially help you if you're in last place. And there is also cards that can slow you down, so only with good timing, efficiency, and luck can you complete Usolli. My first time playing the game was very interesting for 2 reasons. The first is that I know very little about Islam, and so I was looking forward to what the game could teach me. And the second is that I like small box games quite a lot, and especially ones that create a competitive experience with very few components and gorgeous art. Now, I've even designed a few of those myself, and in those categories, Usolli did not disappoint. In my first play, and in my first few turns, I was focused on one goal. I wanted to get the 2 blue cards so I could be the first one to complete the prayer before dawn. And as I was the player that went first, I was lucky able to maneuver myself to get a wudu card of the blue one, and a second blue card on my first 2 turns, which meant that I was able to complete the prayer straight away. And one of the other players, because we played with 3, picked up a card that moved the time of day tracker, so that when I did the first prayer, we moved out of the time of day for the other players to get the on-time bonus. And then after I impressively established a lead, I stumbled very hard. And for the next few turns, I picked up no cards that shared a color. I had a full rainbow of cards. It was very unhelpful. And the time of day tracker had moved into the middle of the day before I had 2 cards of the same color. The other players were catching up very quickly. I started to realize that I could capitalize on my lead by focusing on trying to move the time of day tracker towards the end as fast as possible, both in picking up cards, but also completing the second prayer of the day, even though it was very late. And as I saw the other 2 players had just collected enough cards to earn some big points, I was able to end the game by pushing the time of day tracker all the way to the end. Not actually confident that I would win, by the way, as the other players had in fact completed a few prayers themselves. But when we counted the score, I had bonus from completing the first prayer on time, completing the second prayer, and then maintaining the order. So if you pray out of order, you will not get the prayers in order bonus, which I did. And the scoring cubes that I had accumulated from that, which randomly gives 1 to 3 points, had given me just enough to score 1 more point than the next closest player. And if I had not entered the game when I did, they had a player ready to score a few points, which would put me into last place. I was surprised that I was able to engage with the deep strategy of the game in just both assessing what my opponents could accomplish, but also what options I had available to me in just my first game. And we were playing the basic version of the rules, as it was my first game. but there is an advanced version that you can escalate to that I look forward to trying out next time. I did want to end on pointing out a few things that I really enjoyed about the game. The first and most obvious is that the art is gorgeous. Each piece does well to very clearly commit to a single color for ease in determining what cards you're looking for. And the symbols are super clear and don't interfere with the art. And each art piece communicates a kind of tranquility to it that I really appreciate. The second is that in my playthrough, I felt like I was able to easily pick up and engage with the core gameplay. It wasn't difficult to learn, and we weren't reaching for the rulebook multiple times. And yet it still felt like there was a lot left to discover, both in the advanced rules, but also in some of the random cards to be dealt out, some of which even had a pleasant sense of humor to it. And the last thing is that, yeah, it's a very unexpected thing. We've seen zombies, we've seen Cthulhu, we've seen Marvel IP thousands of times. And often these days when we're presenting with information about cultures foreign to us, it's in a negative light. So I really appreciated how humanizing the game can be, showing the struggles of keeping up with your commitments, showing the quest for personal improvement in trying to accomplish your goals. You're not conquering the world, you're not fighting and killing other players, you're trying to maintain an adherence to your beliefs. And if you're watching this, there is a good chance that Usolli is actually live right now. In fact, it is likely you're possibly watching this from the campaign page, in which case, hello, click the back button. And I do recommend backing it. This is a game that I'm going to pick up a copy for myself. I always appreciate supporting local indie creators and adding more games to your shop, especially when they are small, gorgeous, and reverent like this one is always a good choice. And I have a lot of local Australian designed board games, and I'm looking forward to adding this one to my little collection. And I think that Usolli is going to be a good addition to any collection, and I'm looking forward to diving into the advanced rules, and hopefully you will be too. So go and check out the Kickstarter campaign, have a look through that, maybe see some live gameplay, maybe have a look at what kind of stretch goals and stuff that can be unlocked. Consider back in the game and go and check it out. That's it. That's all I have.